From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MBW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Monday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham and Neal McCready, Clark Ford Studio this morning. As we do every single Monday, we'll throw some lines at you for the week for entertainment purposes only. Of course, we'll look at Ole Miss's FPI the rest of the way, see what that predicts Ole Miss on the second half of the season, and look at a few more stats and things as well coming up on this here podcast leading up to Ole Miss and Arkansas, 6:30 Saturday night from Little Rock, the natural state capital there, a few hours away. Not in Hogville, not in Fayetteville, but in Little Rock this weekend. Alabama beats Arkansas 65-31. It's where we are as a college football society now, where Alabama can win a game by nearly 5 touchdowns, and Arkansas still have a pretty good showing in the process. So
I think some of the Arkansas deal is that they had the fumble inside the one that would have in the first quarter cut it to 21-14.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of kept playing.
Yeah, 31 points is 31 points. However you want to do it.
A yard away from 38 against that defense, I think people look at that and go, well, they're figuring something out on one side of the ball.
I think it's also fair to say Alabama probably, at least defensively, not quite as good as their reputation in some ways.
Yeah,
I think,
and they might have sleptwalked through a lot of it too. I mean, you know,
they're human.
I don't think we ever give enough credit to, if you will, spending a day in Alabama's shoes where every game's over in the middle of the first quarter, and it's kind of like a fall baseball game. You got to play it, but it doesn't really matter anymore.
Tua Tagovailoa still has not played a fourth quarter snap this season as we reach the halfway point of the year.
I'll be honest, I don't know that he's going to.
They play Missouri this week. Missouri is like 117th nationally in pass defense or something. I mean, the ingredients are there to just rip them apart. So we'll see. But anyway, that and more coming up. It is a road game, so I don't think we get free gas Friday. But you still can save money with the Oxford Exxon. Go download the app. Go sign up for mobile rewards because the first 30 days they add even more points on top of points for you. Saving money with the pump there. You don't have to worry about credit card skimmers, identity theft, and more when you do the Speed Pass Plus app with Blue Sky and all Blue Sky locations, as well as the Oxford Exxon. Again, coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio.
We are Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, 662-257-1900. Call the number, ask for Corey Clark, tell Corey what new Ford you're looking for, and he'll send you a quote within 15 minutes in business hours. It's right to the bottom line. There's no hassle. There's no haggle. You decide how complicated you want it to be because you get your quote, and then the ball's in your hands. You can shop it around, obviously, or you can let Corey and the people at Clark Ford do for you what they've done for so many others, and that's take the hassle out of the everyday car buying experience. You get a great Ford product, phenomenal service after the sale. Corey wants to be your truck guy. He wants to be your car guy. He'll prove it to you. Just give him a call, 662-257-1900. At the end of your deal, tell Corey you heard about Clark Ford on the podcast. You can mention any of our family of podcasts, and you'll save $500 off the already great bottom line at Clark Ford.
So, we probably all could be a little more proficient with our time every single day. I'll talk about we don't have time to do this or that. I know I don't have time to do this, and I'd love to read a little more here to see what this guy's day actually looks like. Maybe it's at the bottom of the story I haven't gotten to. Did you see this? The Washington Post highlighting a guy named Stephen Pruitt. He is a Wikipedia editor. Wikipedia allows anyone to edit their content. It's free. They don't pay you to do so. Just if you want to contribute to the greater good, you can do that.
Okay.
Stephen Pruitt has edited more than 2.5 million Wikipedia articles. To its credit, 2.5 million. Wikipedia has 5.7 million pages, and Wikipedia says that this dude has edited more than 1/3 of them.
Just because he wants to?
It's just what he does. Yes, he is obsessed with editing and fixing and expanding Wikipedia pages. What does your day look like to do that?
I have no idea.
In the past 13 years, he's generated more than 31,000 original articles, conducting his research via books, newspapers, online sources, occasional field excursions. Talks about everything from the biblical figure of Omar to the United States Lighthouse Society to communes of French Martinique. Anything here he has done. Pruitt has his finger in so many pies, reading from the Washington Post, that if you do the math, you realize he's averaged more than 540 edits per day over the last 13 years.
That's just unreal to me.
540 edits a day for 13 years on Wikipedia. It's crazy.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe I'm boring. I don't know. I don't have that kind of time. Don't really want that kind of time. And if I had that kind of time,
well, you would have to make that to be a part of your discretionary time. It'd have to be your only discretionary time.
I guess it would just be why.
Well, that's fair.
I mean, that's what I'd love to ask him is.
Every minute that you're watching a Cubs or a Thunder game or Bucks Kings for some unknown reason, that's what he's doing. He's editing Wikipedia articles.
Here's what I'm really good about, though. I'm really good about turning on a game, and even a Cubs game, especially an NBA game, and it kind of becoming a very relaxing backdrop to getting work done.
It's easy when there's 82 and 162.
Yeah.
You're not. One game's not changing your day one way or the other.
No game is, I dare say, must win.
Yeah. But football games are must win more than basketball
They
or baseball
are,
games.
sure.
Saints really need to beat the Redskins tonight.
But it's probably not a must win.
No, it's not. It's weak, whatever.
I've had that debate with people in the last 72 hours about the upcoming game on Saturday in Little Rock when people call it must win. And everybody gets mad at me, and I understand sort of, but it's not a must win. You want to call it a need to win, want to win. I'd sure feel better if they won. Cool. Must win? No, it's not. There are no ramifications from Saturday's game, frankly, for either program. Literally.
No employments hinge on it. No bowl games hinge on it.
Yeah, let's break this down. What makes a game a must-win game?
Well, obviously, games late in years for bowl eligibility.
Bowl eligibility. That is not a factor for either of these teams if we're being
There are
realistic.
optics games that can save or kill a coach's tenure.
And neither of these coaches even have a burner under their seat right now.
And I'm sure there are some scenarios that could have impacts on recruiting, but I don't see how this game qualifies in that.
None at all.
Yeah.
Arkansas just landed its 9th four-star commitment. None of those kids are going to, at the end of the recruiting season, if you will, go, well, I was going to go there, but you lost to Ole Miss, and that did it. He's selling a vision right now. Is it a good vision? I have no idea. Is it a bad vision? I have no idea. Is it going to work? I have no clue. But right now, he's selling a vision. Okay, come here. We're going to rebuild this thing. You're going to be a part of a rebuild, blah, 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 etc. He has a lot of Texas ties. It's a pretty good year in the state of Arkansas, is my understanding, and he's capitalizing on that. No kid is going to, who was not, N'Kobe Dean, for example, is not going to see Ole Miss beat Arkansas and go, okay, I'm coming now. I wasn't coming, but I am now. No kid's going to look at this game and go, well, I was going to go to Ole Miss, but you lost to Arkansas, so now I'm out. It's just, it's like I said yesterday, if this were Arkansas, Tennessee, no one here would be looking at that going, man, it's a must-win game for those two teams. Not a must-win game. It's just not. That's a silly narrative. And frankly, it's a narrative that fans build up because they really want a game to be won. And then when the game's, if the game is not won, they back off and go, well, it really was. It doesn't matter. I understand it would cure some of the apathy. It would create some excitement. It would throw some kind of energized blood into the proverbial fan base. And frankly, I'm all for that. I get it. I understand.
It's a big game for morale, and it's a fairly big game for getting any type of energy back in that stadium when they play Auburn in a couple weeks.
Yeah. And I'm in complete agreement with that.
When Auburn kind of looks like a wounded puppy currently, too.
They do. We'll talk about that a little bit in a minute. But, yeah, I just think people have to be careful about making something more than what it is. It's a win over Arkansas doesn't increase your chances of a win over anybody else any more than a loss to Arkansas increases your chances of a loss to anyone else. It's one game. It's two teams that desperately need a win. And there's, from a validation standpoint, I think for Arkansas it's a bigger game even than it is for Ole Miss because Chad Morris has been preaching, we're getting there, we're getting there, we're getting there.
1-5.
And they're 1-5. And now the last two games that they've played two really good football teams, including the best football team in the country, and they've done some good things in both games. He's telling them, hey, keep chopping the tree. Just keep chopping the tree.
Is that his thing?
That's his thing. Which, frankly, is more original than hold the rope.
Or row the boat, if you will.
I always liked row the boat.
You like row the boat?
Yeah, I hate hold the rope because that's passive. Just hold the rope. Someone's coming to get you. Row the boat or chop the tree is an action. Take an action.
It's a big game for Arkansas because let's say they beat Ole Miss.
Okay.
They're probably going to beat Tulsa next week, I guess.
Yeah.
Then they play Vanderbilt at home.
They could get to 4-5.
They get 4-5. They play LSU at home. They're going to lose, I think.
We're going to talk about them in a minute.
And then they close up with State and Missouri, but
they're not going bowling.
Yeah, but they can hit a little nice thing right here in the middle.
That's my point. He could be able, if they beat Ole Miss.
2-6 in the league's not the end of the world.
If they beat Ole Miss, it gets him a chance to get on a roll, and for him to be able to walk into that team meeting every Sunday or Monday, whenever they meet, and say, we're getting better. See, guys, you've stuck to it. We've kept chopping the tree, and all of a sudden the tree's starting to give.
So we're going to look at some stat stuff. Then we're going to look at picks here in a little bit. One of the stories up at rebelgrove.com, I, with the help of my brother, put together a chart of Ole Miss's averages since the beginning of the Phil Longo era, so since the start of 2017. Offensively, what they've done in tons of categories against Power 5 teams, non-Power 5 teams, and then what the Power 5 average is and the SEC average is against light competition. So, again, you can run through all those numbers at rebelgrove.com. I put a couple of the interesting ones here. I'm going to start, though, with FPI. It's ESPN's kind of RPI, if you will, their measurement of teams, and they like Ole Miss okay. But it's because it's weird. It's because the unevenness is kind of the theme of today's podcast, what we're talking about a little bit. Because they still have Ole Miss's offense ranked 10th nationally in FPI, giving them a grade of 79.81, giving the defense a grade of 32.20 for a 106th national ranking there defensively. Special teams at 51, kind of in the middle to good. And then overall, 59th nationally, 56.74 when you put the very uneven things together. Looking at it so far this season, looking at percentages and whatnot, they have Ole Miss exactly where they are, as every sane human being would be at 4-2 at this point of the season. The adjusted win-loss for Ole Miss, or what they should be, is 3.9 to 2.1, so 4-2. That's what they are.
Yep.
It is what it is. But here, and you'll see this theme with lines in a second, I was a little surprised. I didn't know where the analytics would say for this Ole Miss-Arkansas game. I had no idea where that line would come out at. Giving Ole Miss a 70.2% chance in Little Rock this weekend to win that game over Arkansas. From an FPI standpoint, 70.2, as Arkansas is ranked 82nd in FPI so far this season compared to Ole Miss's 59th. So, just thought that was a little interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
I'll let you take some guesses here. So Ole Miss next week hosting Auburn at home. What do you think the FPI chance is for Ole Miss to win that football game? Because you kind of dipped some percentages in 10 Weekend Thoughts yesterday.
And
so.
I was careful not to go find a program to help me.
Yeah.
I'd say 30 to 35%.
FPI says Ole Miss's chances of beating Auburn at home next week are 31.2%.
It's about right.
Okay. South Carolina at home after the bye week on November 3rd. Kind of another little weird game here.
I would say somewhere between 45 and 50% is what a computer would give it.
And they give Ole Miss a 48% chance of beating South Carolina that day in Oxford. Texas A&M Aggies in College Station on November the 10th.
I would say it's a very low chance from a computer. I will say a computer gives them between 25 and 30% chance to win the game.
20.6% for Ole Miss against A&M at Vanderbilt in Nashville, November 17th, 5 days before the Egg Bowl.
I think it's high, 70 to 75% chance of winning.
This one's going to shock you the other way a little bit. 55-45 for that one between Ole Miss and Vanderbilt. They actually have Vanderbilt ranked 62nd nationally in game control this season.
Interesting.
So not bad for Vanderbilt there.
Shermer's actually been good.
Yeah, they just have nothing around him.
Nothing around him to show it, but he's actually had a really nice season.
And then the Egg Bowl to close it up, Mississippi State at home.
I would guess it gives Ole Miss between a 35 and a 40% chance of winning the game.
29.6 on that one.
It's a terrible matchup.
They have
awful.
They have Mississippi State ranked 13th currently in FPI. I don't know how it breaks up, but that's where they are overall.
I watched them the other night against Auburn a good bit. They give Moorhead credit. After a few weeks of trying to force a square peg into a round hole,
just ran the dang ball.
He just said F it. And I do think that Nick Fitzgerald's getting healthy, starting to feel more.
Thought he just looked better.
Thought he ran the ball far more forcefully against Auburn. And then I think Auburn's that weird team right now that the defense is getting frustrated about the offense. Because the offense is shockingly inept.
Awful.
The defense is pretty good, but the defense is out there too much. Now, if you can run the ball on Auburn, you can do some things. State just said, screw it, we're just going to run. I mean, they snapped it to Fitzgerald. I don't know how many carries Fitzgerald had the other night. It felt like 50. I know it wasn't 50.
Every time they needed a yard, it was him.
They gave it to him. They mix it up with Kylan Hill, and they throw Aris Williams out there a little bit. They just run it at you. And so from a matchup standpoint against Ole Miss, that's bad. It's a terrible matchup for Ole Miss. And you can send me your hate mail. It's neilmccready@gmail.com. I'm in that opinion of people that think Mississippi State wins the game last year if Fitzgerald doesn't break his leg. I can't prove that. It doesn't matter. I'm happy for Ole Miss that it won. I just don't think from a matchup standpoint it's a particularly good matchup for Ole Miss.
So a couple numbers here. Looking at this, again, go to rebelgrove.com. Check out the chart because it's pretty interesting in a number of ways. And I'm going to skip the non-Power 5 rankings on the podcast. You can go see those. They've beaten the holy crap out of non-Power 5 teams, and the stats are off the charts.
Yes,
so
destroyed them.
Yeah, destroyed them. I mean, for example, they're averaging 54 points a game against non-Power 5 teams since Longo's time.
Yes.
This is 18 games sample size total. This is 10 SEC games sample size total at this point.
It's becoming a decent sample size.
I found points per game kind of interesting. I expected Ole Miss to be in the top half of the SEC in points per game against Power 5 teams.
Yeah.
26.8. Good number. Not a great number. The FBS average against Power 5 teams is 26.2. So basically right there at them. And then the SEC average against Power 5 teams in that time span is 27.2. So slightly below average in points per game. They have a lot more yards per game. They're all over the field. That's because passing. They're way beyond averages from a passing yards per game standpoint. They're 271 against Power 5 teams, but then 224 and 205 are the averages for the FBS and for the SEC in those categories. I'll tell you the startling one, though, that I found most interesting versus anything else. Third down percentages, the ability to stay on the field if you're Ole Miss, because we always talk about time of possession and a mismatched offense and defense and different things. So much of that comes down to third down percentages. Sure. Scoring quick's one thing. 3 and outs are a whole other thing. That's a whole different deal. Third down percentages, the averages for the SEC and the nation are 37.6 and 38.3. Against non-Power 5 teams, Ole Miss is converting third downs at a 60.6% clip.
Okay.
Against Power 5 teams, 30.1. Good bit lower there against Power 5 teams relative to the SEC and the nation at that point. I found that interesting.
Because you step up the type of athlete that you're going against.
Yeah, first downs are below average. The other thing I thought was interesting, negative plays are also way below average. They have far more negative plays than the average against good teams or against same division teams would be the way to put it. But the other thing I found is you look at rushing yardage and just how they've run the football. And this was Jordan Wilkins last year. This is Scotty Phillips this year. from a raw number standpoint, they're an average SEC team running the football. That's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. They should run it more. I mean, that's kind of what this shows me, is that when you look at yards per rush and different things, they're very, very competent. They're averaging 4.5 yards per rush against Power 5 teams. The averages for the nation and the SEC are 4.2 and 4.5. They're an exactly average SEC offense from a running standpoint, and that's plenty good enough. They're in that number. However, when you look at yards per game and different things like that, they're lagging behind because they just don't run it. They're 35 to 40 yards per game behind a normal SEC team, even though they have the same yards per rush, because they just keep throwing it and keep throwing it and keep throwing it, even when rushing was working at times, it seems.
Well, it's one of the things. Look, the next game that I coach will be the first.
Of course, yeah, we're just looking at numbers.
It's why this weekend, in particular, because of the type of team that you're going against and the confidence that they have begun to show on the offensive side of the football, I'm running the ball. I want to keep them off the field. This will be Ty Story's fourth start. He's beginning to show confidence. They love to use the tight end. Brett Bielema recruited a bunch of tight ends. I don't think it was a big part of their offense at SMU, but to Morris's credit, he inherited a bunch of tight ends, and so he's using them. They're throwing the ball to the tight end on a lot of little underneath stuff, which Ole Miss is very susceptible against. I think the worst thing you could do on Saturday, if you're Ole Miss, is let them get that offense on the field and drive. Let them start eating some clock. Let them start getting some confidence. Let them stay in the game. The longer they stay in the game, the more I think the game favors them. The more their crowd starts going, hey, man, we might win.
Mm-hmm.
We're in this. The more their kids start to, on the sideline, go, hey, that, pardon my language here, all that bullshit coach has been saying, some bitch, it's true. And all of a sudden you start playing that way.
Yeah.
It's the one thing Ole Miss does, and it's weird because it's kind of a juxtaposition. On one hand, they have that quick strike, boom, 50-yard pass down the field all the time that bails them out. And on the other hand, but when that doesn't work and you're punting and the other team's getting the football back, and they just had it a minute ago, and you have this defense that is thin.
More thin by the day.
And it's thinner all the time. And Arkansas's going to throw it. And that running back's not bad. He put up 100+ against Bama. And everybody can say what they want about, well, it's Alabama's fourth string or whatnot. It's 100+ against Alabama. I promise you, this guy's looking at the film going, looking forward to Saturday. Give me the ball. Story's playing better. Story had a nice day against Alabama. I watched a lot of it. Ole Miss's defense, I dare say, is not as threatening as Alabama's. This is a fascinating game because I think it's a game Ole Miss can and should win. But to do it, you've got to do some things that I don't know that Ole Miss likes to do. And through 18 games, they love this throw to space, chase space, and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a story on rebelgrove.com right now. We didn't write it, but it got linked on our message board of a draft guy or an NFL guy being very critical of Longo's offense from a route tree concept standpoint, and how some defensive coordinators can replicate and predict what's coming based off route trees and different things and how to defend it. So that's on the board now. We'll continue in 1 second. First, the podcast brought to you in part by Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Soto County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. You're getting local underwriting and understands your market, leader in condo financing and the float down option. So give them a call at 662-234-2704 or JLOWE, JLOWE at communitymtg.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Pinnacle Trust, my post-game column from Saturday and the one this coming Saturday. And this podcast sponsored by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust based in Madison, Mississippi, but it represents clients in 24 states and has advisors in 3 states. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. At Pinnacle Trust, investing is treated like a commodity and decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. Regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial and retirement plan. Cookie-cutter financial planners put you in a box. At Pinnacle Trust, a box is built just for you. To learn more about Pinnacle Trust, go to pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. Mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast, and you'll get 10% off your first year's fees. Join the Westin Jackson for their inaugural event, the Festival of Trees. It's a community-wide event. The Westin Jackson has partnered with Eventful, Visit Jackson, Friends of Children's Hospital, and many others to create a one-of-a-kind, all-month-long holiday event comprised of elaborately decorated Christmas trees lining the Westin Jackson halls, a holiday charity gala, sugar plum fairy teas, and brunch with Santa. This annual event is sure to delight kids of all ages and warm the spirit of all who attend. Purchase your tickets today at jacksonfestivaloftrees.com. Podcast also brought to you in part by John Edwards of Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Have you been thinking about that golf trip with the guys you'll never forget? Or maybe that anniversary trip she'll never forget? Whether you've dreamed of playing St. Andrews or sitting at a cafe in Paris, talk to John Edwards before you try to do it yourself. Why use John? Well, he's part of Virtuoso. It's a worldwide network of travel partners that allows John to supply his clients with added values and unique benefits that are simply not available to other travelers. John traveled the globe for 37 years before getting into the travel business, so he knows the extra attention needed to make a special trip one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. So if you're thinking about going with the boys to Pebble Beach or taking her to Napa for the vacation of her dreams, call John. Give him some parameters and a budget and let him give you some options. And know this, you don't have to live in or near Memphis to take advantage of his services. Call John at 901-494-3387 or send him an email at jedwards@regencytravel.net. First-time clients can save $50 off their first book trip just by telling John you heard about Regency Travel on the podcast.
So, anyway, to wrap that up, that's there at rubbergrove.com. We'll have plenty of Arkansas content, see what Chad Morris says going into the week. He's known as a filibuster, so his press conferences typically have very little content and him talking a very long time for an opening statement. Kind of the Les Miles, this is the Media Day school of thought there, where he used to give all of his summer vacation plans from his kids. Kind of miss Les. He's doing other things now. Let's see. Look at lines for the week. We got Appalachian State and Arkansas State on Tuesday. Got Fun Belt going on already for the midweek.
Oh, God.
It's time to go, yeah. Georgia Southern and Texas State on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You excited?
No.
Arizona and Utah on Friday?
No.
Air Force and San Diego State on Friday?
Does nothing for me.
Okay. 11 a.m. Saturday, SEC games here. The Tennessee Volunteers are at the Auburn Tigers.
Weird spot. I know about this line because I saw some of this on Twitter. I know that the line initially came out at about 20. It dropped to 17 pretty quickly. I think this is a bad spot for Tennessee. Auburn's got to get some stuff fixed, and they have to get it fixed right now.
It's a big line. But Auburn minus 18 is where it opened. It's currently sitting between 16.5 and 17, depending on your favorite book. So open at 18, drop just a touch.
They're so out of sorts offensively that scoring points is just an issue for them.
And scoring points is always an issue for Tennessee.
Yeah,
so,
they're bad.
They're bad.
They're bad.
They've played hard, and defensively they've had a couple moments, but that's about it.
They're coming off one of their better outings against Georgia.
Yeah, they were off last weekend, right?
And so, yeah, they were off, and so this will be – it's a weird spot for Auburn. 2 weird spots in a row for Auburn coming up. Games on their schedule that everyone before the season went win. Tennessee, Ole Miss, wins.
And now –
and they should be wins.
But
They probably will be wins, but they're going to have to play a little better for those games not to be interesting.
Yeah. In Nashville this weekend, potentially a letdown day a little bit, but we'll see. The Florida Gators are at the Vanderbilt Commodores this week.
Well, they can afford to let down and still win. Imagine.
What's the line?
Before I do this, the line I'm going to guess is Florida minus 14.5.
You don't have to give anywhere near that. The Vanderbilt Commodores are only 8-point favorites this week to open up, and that baby's actually going down. It's down
Vandy's the favorite?
No. Florida's the favorite, but it's down to 7. It's opened at 8. It's down to 7.
Man.
Yeah. Florida
I'm
minus
not good
8.
enough at this to put real money on it, but that's tempting.
Florida's coming off state. They're coming off LSU. They're on the road. It's just got that lull game feeling to it.
We were talking about this in the press box the other day. I'll give you credit. You're the one that said it.
Mm-hmm.
If Matt Corral doesn't get into whatever issues that he got into with whatever involving Florida, he's probably the starting quarterback in Florida right now, and they would be better than they are.
Yeah, he's better than Felipe Franks. There's no doubt about that.
And then I'll say what I said in the press box, and I'll give myself credit. You better get Florida right now. This cat is happy.
You think they're coming?
Oh, yes, I do. This cat is happy. He's going to start recruiting to that. That network's going to get rolling down there. It's going to get going in Gainesville. You can say what you want.
You think we're lining up for a decade of Dan Mullen, Kirby Smart?
I do. And Dan Mullen will not be remotely scared of him. Not even a little bit. Say what you want about Dan Mullen, and I have a lot of conflicting opinions about Dan Mullen, the person. He is one hell of a football coach.
Yeah, got some bad looks personally, but
and if you can recruit like he did to Starkville, man, you gonna tear it up in Florida.
And he's happy and he's cocky and he
is one happy dude right now.
He's pig and slop right now.
He's out celebrating with fans after games. That guy is happy.
Chomp, chomp, chomp.
He got out of the bad relationship with the psychopath.
And married up.
And is now not only married to a supermodel.
I mean, it's kind of new money, but it'll be all right.
Oh, and new money spends just as good as old money. He's married to the supermodel, and the supermodel has a thing for him. Life is good.
Yeah, the supermodel thinks they outkicked their coverage.
The supermodel is thinking, I am so lucky to have him right now.
Dan over here just grinning.
And he's just going, man, I am a year removed from dating a psycho. Like, I was scared every night that she was going to burn my house down.
Like butcher knives in the bed kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. He couldn't sleep at night. He was so worried about it. And now he's just sweet dreams.
Very high thread count sheets.
Oh, it's fantastic. Life is good.
This line's
amazing. You know, you hire Jimmy Sexton and you say, get me out, and then you win at a place that nobody ever wins. It's amazing how it works out for you.
This line seems incredibly low, too. Not in the SEC, but Oklahoma State, which they've scuffled a bit, only 7-point favorites at Kansas State this weekend. And Kansas State is one of the slowest football teams on record. I mean, terrible. So, interesting there. Oklahoma State only by 7 against Kansas State. Neal's Iowa Hawkeyes are 6-point favorites against the Indiana Hoosiers in Bloomington this weekend. So I'm scrolling down the list here. PJ Fleck, mentioning rowing the boat earlier. He's 31-point underdogs to Ohio State and Columbus this weekend. Minnesota not going to win that football game. Scott Frost's season of misery is going to continue. They are 9-point underdogs in Evanston, Illinois against Northwestern this weekend, so they're going to lose again. And he's trying hard, but he was left with zero talent in Lincoln. They're terrible.
Yeah, and people, I think, for the most part, are being patient there. They're understanding it.
They're a little annoyed, but they're fine.
Yeah.
They were expecting the quick fix, and that just wasn't possible given the roster.
I would argue quick fixes don't happen in today's college football.
It's hard. Quick fixes only happen when the talent's kind of okay and they just completely gave up on the previous staff and didn't give a crap. That's how they get fixed.
Dan Mullen.
Houston Nutt, year 1.
Yeah. Usually it's a pretty experienced coach.
I mean, Hugh Freeze is one of the kind of the outliers there for his 12 team.
Scott Frost can point to Orlando and go, look,
It's fine.
See, look what y'all thought last year was a fluke. It wasn't. We're really good. He's probably also looking at Central Florida and going, I was really happy.
And I'd still be winning.
I'd still be winning. I'd still be the hot name. I wonder if he looks at Nebraska finally. I know he went there, and people get emotional about their alma maters, normal people anyway. And I wonder if he looks at it and goes, I was here during a different time. I don't know that this is ever going to be that again. Kind of like Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really look at Tennessee, the problem with the Tennessee job is that big, fat Phil Fulmer comes walking down all the time in his big orange jacket going, I'll tell you what I did right here on these fields.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, that was a little different deal.
Yeah.
Who was the coach at Alabama back then, Phil? What was Georgia doing back then, Phil? Out of curiosity, I mean, like, what was their recruiting network sort of like back in the day? Well, I tell you, old Steve Spurrier was down there, and he was a troublemaker for us, and he really was. Yeah, and what was South Carolina doing then, out of curiosity? And just a different.
They were going 0-11 is what they were doing.
Yeah, because you had free W's in a league that now doesn't have a lot of free W's. So, I don't know. A part of me wonders if Scott Frost ever looks at Nebraska and thinks, I screwed this up. I should have stayed at UCF another year. Well, not like they were having a hard time paying the bills, I'm guessing. I mean, imagine when little Jimmy and Jenny Frost wanted to go to Disney World, you probably didn't have to pay for the tickets.
Probably some stuff.
You know what I'm saying?
There, yeah.
I just kind of think I just wonder. We'll see.
A line that Bobby Petrino probably did not envision back in the day when he took this job and Louisville was beating Florida in the Sugar Bowl and stuff like that. Boston College minus 15 against the Louisville Cardinals this weekend.
Yeah, I'd lay them. BC's pretty good. Louisville is not.
North Texas, the chance to get another win. They play Southern Miss this weekend. 8.5-point favorites for the Mean Green. And
how the hell did ULM beat Southern Miss?
I don't know, because I told you ULM.
Have you ever seen a slower team in your life?
Well, maybe Kansas State, but that's about it. But really, I mean, could not close any ground whatsoever.
There were plays where it looked like the linebacker, they made Ole Miss's linebackers look fast. There were plays where it looked like the linebacker didn't move, like his feet were stuck. Remember that game? You probably aren't old enough to have ever played the game where you put the players on the table and you lined them up and you turned it on.
The electric football thing. Yeah.
And sometimes one of the pieces would just fall over.
That's what ULM looked like.
Yeah, it would look like dude just fell over and he just
sniper.
Yeah, gone. Yeah. Just couldn't move. It was bizarre. I mean, not that they were that bad, but that they've won football games.
Yeah, I was glad late in the game to see Marcus Green, the kid from North Pontotoc, score a touchdown in his home state, because early on he had several openings to make plays, and he looked so nervous that he was dropping balls all over the field. He looked really out of sorts. Then he kind of found it late, scored the big touchdown.
Their second or third drive, he had a play in the middle of the field where there was
second drive, because the first one ended on what should have been a pass interference on fourth down.
Well, that's what you think.
That's what I think.
Yeah, it was definitely interference. The second,
I didn't make the joke I wanted to on Twitter. I didn't feel like getting beat up at the moment. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, Chase almost made a political joke, which would have been really funny.
It would have changed my day, though, and I wasn't in the mood for that.
You had a lot of your friends would have lost their minds. Don't you dare! Yeah. There was a play. I think it was a second or third down, middle of the field. I mean, there's no one near him. He catches the ball, and he might run for a while.
Yeah, and he just dropped it.
Yeah. Actually, it was one of the few throws that QB made that was a good throw.
He made Woody Barrett look okay at times.
He had the slowest release I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He looked like an average high school quarterback.
If I was Ole Miss, I would have picked up 7 more yards. They were 7 yards away from the SEC record for most yards in a game. I'd have picked up 7 more yards.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, if you're at that point, once you're at 826, what's 7 more?
Yeah.
I mean,
how many times are you going to get over 800, really?
Well, not many. It was the most by an SEC team in 15 years or something. So
Tua Tagovailoa raises his hand and goes, yeah, I can do it.
Let me play the third quarter.
If you would just let me get into the second half once.
The AP did a stat thing, and they led it with Ole Miss, talking about all the stupid stats they had on Saturday. But they pointed out a game. It was the most stats, most yards in a game or something since Oklahoma played Texas Tech a couple years ago, and both teams had 859. Both teams.
I vaguely remember that game. I'm glad I didn't have to cover that game.
Well, it would have been Baker against Patrick Mahomes.
Well, there you go.
A lot of points. A lot of going on there.
Patrick Mahomes, through 5 games, is the NFL MVP.
He's fun.
Good, what he is.
Cleveland won a game despite its head coach yesterday.
Baker Mayfield, give Jeffrey credit. He said it a long time ago. That guy was just a winner, and he said
the same thing about Manziel, too, so we're 1 for 2.
He did 1 for 2, but give him Baker.
He gets Baker.
He believed Baker more than he believed Manziel. I think the difference is that Manziel off the field is a train wreck. Mayfield off the field is probably fairly normal.
Got home yesterday and watched Sean McVay become even more famous there in L.A., going for it on 4th down to get to seal the game. A lot of NFL coaches would have been really conservative because they would not have wanted to get yelled at.
I did not watch much NFL yesterday. I went to see A Star Is Born with Laura. Yeah.
Okay.
Lady Gaga. Okay, obviously she can sing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's phenomenal.
Okay.
And don't give me this, oh, you're too cool. If it's not Creedence Clearwater Revival, it doesn't count. Then stop. She has a powerful voice. But she'll probably win an Academy Award. It's a hell of a performance.
Really?
And Bradley Cooper was amazing.
Okay.
It's a hell of a good movie. It's depressing as hell at the end. Spoiler alert.
Why do you hate movies? You hate movies like that. Why don't you watch them?
Yeah, it took me a little while to kind of recover from that one.
I mean, I bet you still hadn't rewatched Boyhood, have you?
Oh, no, I'll never watch that again.
Emotionally, it was a train wreck for a while.
I'm never watching that again.
It's a really good movie, but
if you say so.
Yeah,
each his or her own, but not me.
It was okay. So the Rams are up 2 points with a minute and a half to go in the game. It is 4th and 1 from the Rams 41 or so, and they went for it on 4th and 1 instead of punting the ball to the Seahawks up 2 with a minute and a half to go. The Seahawks used their final timeout, would have been out of timeouts with the ball with about 1:15 left, needing a field goal to win the game. And McVay ran a quarterback sneak and picked up about 2.5, 3 yards, won the game. Sealed it. Said, you got the ball, you go win it. And that's what he did. Rams are 5-0, Seahawks 2-3. The other teams in the West are 1-4. The division is over.
Oh, yes.
It's done.
No, they're playing for seeding now.
Yeah, and in pretty good shape for that one as well. So.
Pretty good game tonight, New Orleans and Washington. Washington's been okay.
And the Saints have been pathetic at home as a home favorite. Pathetic.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Well, it's because defensively they've just been so susceptible.
Yeah, I mean, they were good last week defensively because that was because they were playing the Giants is what happened there. So, all right, one more line before we get into a break in a second. Georgia at LSU this weekend. LSU stinging off their loss to Florida where Joe Burrow looked like the quarterback we thought Joe Burrow would look like.
Yeah, here we go with LSU.
Now we'll see.
Now we see. Here we go. This is credit to them for surviving that early path. They went to Auburn and won a game. A lot of idiots like me thought that Louisiana Tech and Ole Miss would be challenges. They weren't. But here we go. They lost at Florida, and now they've got Georgia, Bama, and State over the next 4 weeks.
That is correct.
And it gets, I don't know if you've noticed, no one's beating Alabama. So if for them to survive and not lose 4 in a row, they're either going to have to beat Georgia or Mississippi State. And State's defense is going to give Joe Burrow fits, just fits. It's tough. It's real right now, and you lose 4 games in a row over 5 weeks in Baton Rouge, and they'll turn on you. So the Ed Orgeron test begins today.
What's the line?
I would say Georgia's probably favored by 6 or 7 points.
Open at 7. It's in 7 or 7.5 now, depending on whatever you would you'd like to bet it at.
I'm not crazy about Georgia.
They're flawed to have such a high reputation. They're good.
They're good. They have lots of weapons.
They're incredibly athletic.
Yeah.
But defensively, I actually think they're gettable. They're young
and
they make mistakes.
If you have a good quarterback. You got to have a good quarterback.
Yeah, now you got to take advantage of it.
Yeah, I don't think Burrow's going to be able to do it.
No, it doesn't. This feels like a mauling, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, close, but mauling. Never in doubt. 24-6 ish.
Yeah, ish.
Something along those lines,
maybe even 24-13, but something in that ballpark.
Yeah. So, anyway, continue in a second. First, tell you the podcast is brought to you in part by Visit Oxford. Come hang out even on weekends. There are not football games going on, including in a couple weeks. You got the Wizard of Oz at the Ford Center. October 23rd is the Oxford Art Crawl. Neil loves it. The National 10-Minute Festival is November 15th to 18th, and you got the annual Holiday Market coming up. So, again, you don't need football to enjoy the square with all the art, food, and leisure opportunities coming to you. Sometimes you just need to get away. And if so, Oxford is exactly your type, whether it's get away with girlfriends, a romantic trip for two, a guy's retreat, or just because traveling to Oxford means you can enjoy your great escape at your own leisure and not leave vacation in need of another vacation. To find out more of what's going on, visit oxfordms.com/events.
Podcast also brought to you by Grenada Nissan. If you're in the market for a Nissan vehicle, look no further than Grenada Nissan. They have a complete selection of new and previously owned Nissan vehicles. Go in, test drive one today. You'll love it. Great lease deals, as I mentioned. Just go in and talk to Gene and Sandy. Tell them you heard about Grenada Nissan at rebelgrove.com or on this here podcast, and you'll save Rebel savings on top of the already great deals and great service at Grenada Nissan. It's GrenadaNissanUSA.com. Podcast also brought to you by Harry Alexander. Harry is a Oxford-based RE/MAX Legacy Realty agent. He's been in Oxford more than 4 decades. No one knows the residential and condo market in Oxford better than Harry. Go to his site. He'll prove it to you. HarryAlexander.com. Click on the Properties and Neighborhoods tab. Filter through by what you are looking for, and then send him an email. It's ha@harryalexander.com. Podcast also brought to you by Oxford University Bank. OUB is locally owned and operated right here in Oxford. When you deposit money at OUB, that money and the vast majority of the bank's profits go right back into the Oxford community. OUB gives you the comfort of home, all the benefits the big mega banks provide, all the technology and products you can want, all with the personal touch. When you call OUB, you speak directly with a live person, all without having to press 10 buttons and without a 5-minute wait. OUB offers its customers the absolute best cash checking account. It's called Kasasa. And with Kasasa, OUB will pay customers 2.5% interest on their balances up to $50,000. And with Kasasa, ATM fees nationwide are refunded. OUB also offers online bill pay and mobile check deposit using its online app. To learn more about OUB, check out liveoxfordbankoxford.com or call 662-234-6668. OUB is FDIC insured.
Podcast also brought to you by Oxford Wine and Spirits, located on College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. They're 5% below industry standards as it is for its prices. They've got all cat head products. They want to help you, the podcast listeners. So go in, stock up for the weekend, parties, even holidays coming up before we will know it. Spend $150 or more. Mention the podcast. It's 5% off wine, 10% off liquor there with Oxford Wine and Spirits. Their selection improves every single day. Was in there just a few days ago, and again, they can help you out. They're on College Hill Road next to Lost Pizza. That's Oxford Wine and Spirits. Found this interesting, so get the lines in a second, the rest of them. Oklahoma fires defensive coordinator Mike Stoops over the weekend as they were obliterated by Texas offensively. They came back, made a game out of it, lost the Red River rivalry there, though, on a field goal late in the game. And as they fire Stoops, Adam McClintock on Twitter, Russell alerted me to this or retweeted it or something. He's kind of an analytics junkie when he talks about pairing the right kinds of coordinators together, making sure your team is at its optimum level.
Yes.
Kind of what we talk about with Ole Miss all the time. So he says, something to keep in mind when looking for a new DC. Sooners need to be aware of pace pairing. You need to target DCs who know how to handle defending the volume of plays necessary when paired with an O philosophy like Lincoln Riley has. One comes to mind. He's in the Pac-12, and I don't know who he's talking about, but somebody mentions Golding, who's had a lot of history, was rumored to be around Ole Miss for a while before they made that hire, and a name that keeps kind of popping up just because he's had interest in the Rebels at some point if a change is made there at Ole Miss at the end of the year. And McClintock says he's an A-grade defensive coordinator. He was giving Stoops a D-grade by his analytics. He goes, he's an A-grade defensive coordinator, but the pace pairing is off. He's at his best when asked to defend in the range of 66 to 71 plays per game. That's low for what he'd see at Oklahoma, Besides, can't see him leaving Alabama, blah, 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 blah. But he goes into a lot of detail here about pace pairing and how it affects depending on the type of coordinator that a team needs based off its offense.
It's one of the reasons why when people do the complete conviction of Wesley McGriff, I always say, look, I'm not sure the guy's done a fantastic job, but I don't know that it's all completely on him. You're asking him to defend almost 90 plays a game. Now, some of that's because they can't get off the field, but some of that is the offensive stuff that we mentioned earlier in the show. You are having to be out there a lot. That's a lot of work for a program that really didn't recruit to that type of work. It's one of the reasons I don't think this is the brand of football Matt Luke envisions.
See, that's kind of interesting. Is I don't know that Matt's going to worry about analytics or pace pairing, but yeah, it's very likely that if coordinators change and different things, he's not going to focus so much on, hey, we got to have somebody to handle 85 plays, because frankly, he doesn't want to run 85 plays. So it completely changes the structure of what he's looking for at that point.
That's what I think, but I don't know. I've never discussed this with him.
We don't have a line yet on Texas A&M and South Carolina. I'm assuming that's still because of Jake Bentley's health at this point.
Yeah, what a big win for Carolina Saturday.
They had no business winning that game, but Missouri handed it to them in every way imaginable, including on the last drive, dropping an interception in their hands that would have just clinched it and they could have laid down.
But you know when you drop that interception that you're losing the game. You absolutely know when you drop that interception you're losing
That's
the game.
dropping the foul ball, Arkansas, Oregon State baseball.
You know what's coming because the gods now go, okay, well, that was your chance. Here comes the lightning bolt.
Bolt came.
Absolutely. Every single time. It's 100%. It's science.
It's science.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll move on. I don't know. I mean,
Remember the Egg Bowl in Starkville when I think it was Keith Lewis dropped the interception that would have ended the game? Yeah. I looked at you that moment and I said, State just won.
2013.
I think that's right. I said State just won the game.
The year of Bo Wallace fell in the end zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
State just won the game.
Because it was right there. It's over.
Because that's over. It's over.
He catches the ball, he's still running.
But he doesn't have to run. He can catch the ball and fall down, and the game is over.
Damian Williams.
But if he catches the ball, it's a pick six.
Or did Dak throw that? Was it Dak or Damian?
Dak.
Was it Dak after he came back in came in?
That was where Dan Mullen spent that entire game going, take it, just take it. I'll have an excuse. And then after a while, it's like, all right, well, screw it. If you don't want it,
yeah,
I'll go win this.
Because all you had to do was score 14 points and the game was over. I mean, it was done.
Yeah.
And anyway.
One of those Hugh Freeze losses that never gets held against him. It's bizarre.
No, that was a weird one.
Teflon.
Texas a 17-point favorite over Baylor this weekend in
They're good.
Austin.
Tom Herman's done a hell of a job.
They're better. They are better. Star off the Rose a little bit in West Lafayette, Indiana, but they're still 10-point favorites over Illinois and Champaign this weekend.
Yeah, Illinois is awful.
Penn State 14.5-point favorites over Michigan State this weekend in Happy Valley.
What a win for Northwestern.
Yeah, no kidding. Going down the line, Memphis, good game here. UCF -4 at Memphis this weekend.
Justin Timberlake playing at halftime.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Seriously?
No.
Okay. You never know in Memphis. I mean, Penny was promising JT and Drake and everybody at Memphis Madness a couple weeks ago. Well, and actually, it was funny with the plausible deniability. The rumor is rampant, and Penny just kind of looks over smiling like, no, but okay, have at it and pack this thing in just in case. Just saying.
Yeah.
That's going to be a spectacle about an hour north.
Yeah.
Penny's tenure at Memphis.
It really is, because I hear things about their practices and stuff that are
or what?
Well, I just don't know how you keep all those people happy. And then what happens when you don't?
It's kind of what Pete Carroll did from a football standpoint at USC when he had Snoop Dogg out there all the time and just open and Hollywood. And
well, when you recruit all these kids and tell everybody that you're going to be the main guy, you're going to be the main guy, you're going to be the main guy.
There's only one ball.
There's one ball. One ball. Rim's 10 feet high.
You doing a Hoosiers thing, really?
Well,
all the courts are the same size.
Kids come off the floor and say, I didn't get but 13 minutes. You told me I was going to get 30 minutes. I got 13. I took 3 shots. You told me I was going to get a lot of shots.
But that's a good game in the Liberty Bowl this
Who
weekend.
They play? UCF?
Yeah, Mackenzie Milton and UCF headed to Memphis. Darrell Henderson almost to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, he's good. That is a good game. That's actually intriguing enough to want to watch it.
The ULM Warhawks are on the road again this weekend. They are 5.5-point underdogs to the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina this weekend. You like ULM to cover that one?
I don't know. They're
you have soiled on your Warhawks here in the last one. You actually had to watch them for 3.5 hours.
They're not getting any more of my $25. I can tell you that. They've gotten all of the $25 I'm going to ever give them.
We mentioned the game earlier. The Missouri Tigers are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama at Bryant-Denny Stadium this weekend. Talk about a huge loss because they played Georgia, then lose that South Carolina game, and now get Alabama. Missouri at Alabama in Tuscaloosa.
I'm going to guess Alabama's a 32-point favorite.
You can get it for less than that. It opened at 28, now down to 27.5 for this one this weekend. Alabama has not covered 3 games in a row. Now they're not trying to cover the games, but they're still not covering the games.
That's a good point. And Missouri can score points, and that secondary is a little susceptible.
We'll see.
Yeah, whatever.
Hadn't decided yet.
They're so bored. They're so bored, man.
Yeah. The favorite in the Big 12, West Virginia, 4.5-point favorites at Iowa State this weekend.
That'll be an interesting place to play. Iowa State always gets an upset every year.
They do. Miami, -7.5 at Virginia this weekend. I think Bronco Mendenhall is still the coach at Virginia, if I have that right.
I think that's right. Miami's playing better since the LSU loss.
Virginia Tech -6.
It's almost like Mark Richt knows what he's doing.
Well, Virginia Tech -6 facing Larry Fedora and the North Carolina Tar Heels this weekend. North Carolina 6-point underdogs at home.
Probably a rough time to be a Tar Heel. I would guess they'll encounter a little bit of a pissed-off
Virginia Tech team. Yeah, they lost to Notre Dame.
Notre Dame looked good.
Notre Dame's in really good shape for the playoff.
Yeah, and deserves it right now.
Yeah, they're in good shape for the playoff. Ole Miss and Arkansas, this line's been everywhere. Ole Miss opened at either 6.5 to 7.5, depending on your sports book. It's dropping. It's down to 5.5 so far. Now, very, very early, obviously, but down to 5.5 to this point.
7 felt big to me.
7.5 was huge. That's just a ton.
I mean, how can you? I don't know how you can justify objectively taking this.
I think they thought the public, because of records 4-2, 1-5, would jump all over Ole Miss when it's an alternate home site for Arkansas. Yeah. I think they expected a lot of public money on the Rebels.
I look for a lot of points. I think this is 40-something to 30-something. Turnovers, mistakes. This is, can Jordan Ta'amu play a clean game?
Mm-hmm.
Can Ole Miss call some turnovers?
Sure.
I think it will be a fairly entertaining game. I am concerned that it's going to be a long game.
It's got 3:45 all over.
Oh, my God.
This game's over at 10:15.
Which means I'm out of the stadium at 12:15. Yuck.
Something like that. Let's see. Okay. And we'll talk about that game all week. Don't have to stay on it. Wisconsin is a 6. Oh, wow. It's an interesting line here. I know they've lost. I still kind of like them as a team, though. Wisconsin, 6.5-point underdogs. It's now up to 7.5 at Ann Arbor this weekend with Shea Patterson and Michigan.
Michigan looks good.
Michigan -7.5 against the Wisconsin Badgers right now.
It's a lot of points, but Michigan really looks good. I know that's not popular to say, but they're getting really good quarterback play right now. He's not turning it over. Takes them a little while to get going, like the other day against Maryland. It took them a while to kind of get going, but then they made plays.
What'd you think of Matt Corral on Saturday?
I thought Matt looked really, really good. Explosive, good arm, great feet. Probably felt real good for him to get out there and play some.
Somebody was asking about I wrote a story on Matt yesterday morning, put his passing chart in it from Pro Football Focus, and some people were asking about why you don't have perfect grades when you're 10 for 10. Well, I mean, it's just like an NFL rating system. Short passes are not going to be perfect because they're short, very completable passes. So there's a lot of margin for difficulty added in to passer ratings and whatnot. So, yeah, it's not You don't have a 158.3 rating just because you're 10 for 10. It depends on other factors as well. So, anyway, just throwing that out there. I got asked that multiple times, and I'm answering it. So,
yeah.
Nonetheless, what?
Yeah, nothing.
Okay. Yeah, Ole Miss set a record for passing yards in a game, total yards in a game. I don't know, a lot of stuff. There was stuff there. Broke one of Hugh Freeze's records. Their previous high on yards was 751 against Troy in 2013. I
remember that.
They couldn't guard Laquan Treadwell that day. They were having a very, very hard time with Laquan Treadwell.
ULM struggled with A.J. Brown.
They looked like they were running in molasses. A.J. was like the Sonic the Hedgehog, just doing circles around everyone. I mean, I think he probably had a moment where if I had gone to the Sun Belt, I'd have 4,000 yards receiving a season, I think.
He literally would destroy the Sun Belt, yes.
Yeah, Lodge, DK, and AJ all over 100 yards receiving in that one.
Yeah, silly.
Just toss it out to him. I mean, I could have thrown for 300 because all I had to do was just pitch it out to him and let him run around.
If I'm an NFL team and my scout spends more than 2 seconds evaluating the ULM defensive secondary, he's fired. We're going to find somebody else who can more effectively use his time.
You walk in on July 12th, and he's going, ULM's today. We're gonna focus up.
I didn't see a single NFL player.
Matt Corral with a 94.0 Pro Football Focus rating for his day. That kind of happens when you go 10 for 10 for 143. You are responsible for 3 touchdowns, and you also run for 78 yards, including about 61 after contact on Saturday. Big numbers there for Mr. Corral. DeMarcus Lodge right behind him at 93.3 after his exceptional day. The strategic partners and media player of the game, by the way.
Yes, sir.
If I recall that correctly.
You are correct. This podcast also brought to you by Megan Phillips with LAH Real Estate. She's the person to call for all your real estate needs in the Birmingham area. With almost a decade of experience, Megan's knowledge and expertise can help you buy or sell your home today. So visit her website at meganmphillips.com. That's MEAGANM Phillips.com. Or call Megan at 205-602-7929. Again, 205-602-7929.
Let's look in quickly defensively. We're not spending a lot of time on this. Kadir Shepard had the highest defensive grade for Ole Miss out of people playing a lot of snaps. He had an 87.7. Ross Donnelly, Zedrick Woods had decent days. Ken Webster had a pretty good day. Austrian Robinson had a pretty good day. And then that kind of tapers off from there. But anyway, only in 8 snaps, but they have Jonathan Hess rated very, very highly for his very limited performance there in the game.
Yeah, we got asked about him a little bit. They like him. He's tall. He's long. He's physical. I think he's one of those guys that they got to make sure they put him in the right place. But I think there's no question he's going to get to play. He's going to play a lot. It's going to be a big part of their defense moving forward.
They're not going to win the series, but pretty cool moment last night for the Braves with Ronald Acuna and the early grand slam to put them up 5-0 at the time. I think they ended up winning 6-5, Game 4 tonight in Atlanta. The Brewers have already advanced, beating the Rockies, and then we'll wait and see from there. But that's kind of what I did see a little above yesterday, best I could tell.
Yeah, Acuna's great. It was a great moment for him. I still think this is. While they're going to lose the series, I still think this is a great experience for the Braves. Now they won a game. Not going to be a sweep. Might even win Game 4. Probably won't win Game 5 if it gets there. But they're going to be a force.
Be Kershaw back in L.A. for Game 5.
Yeah, they're going to be a force moving forward. The Brewers haven't lost since Christmas. And they destroyed the Rockies. That's so I heard.
6-0 in the clincher yesterday.
Yeah, we walked into Blind Pig last night right as they were celebrating. I wanted to turn around and walk out. But at least the service and the food was really good.
I like the Cuban there. It's one of my favorite sandwiches.
I got the French dip.
Okay.
I was starving. And, man, it was awesome.
Was it?
So good.
What side did you get?
The Greek chips.
Okay. Just curious.
Yeah. It wasn't the healthiest meal probably
It was not the healthiest meal.
But it was great.
You didn't run on the Peloton this morning either, did you?
I haven't done it yet. I'm doing a Jennifer Jacobs 90-minute climb ride later today.
Is that one of your friends?
Jennifer is one of my really good friends.
She the one that laughed at your username or whatever?
She did.
Okay.
She laughed in a complimentary way. She thought it was clever.
She give you a virtual high five?
No, she did not.
Can the the instructors give
That's
virtual
a
high
good
fives?
question. I don't think so. I guess that would be her equivalent of a virtual high five.
Okay.
Jennifer's excellent.
Have you given more virtual high fives or spoken to people in the last 3 days? Like different people?
More virtual high fives.
Probably.
It's more my speed.
Yeah. Ask about a person that lives like 3 houses down from Neil this morning. Nope, never heard of them. All good, so it's fine.
In my neighborhood, I virtually know no one, which is kind of nice.
McRoberts isn't in your neighborhood anymore?
Not anymore.
Oh, well, there you go.
He moved away.
Ran him out now, too?
Well, the naked jogging thing with him was a problem. It was a neighborhood association issue.
Jockstrap only?
Yeah, and it was just too. When I say just too much, just really was. Property values were plummeting.
Today's games for you, if you are curious, the Astros are at the Indians at 12:30 today for that one. The Braves and the Dodgers in Atlanta at 3:30, and then Boston and New York at 6:40 tonight on TBS for that. And then Saints Redskins for Monday Night Football.
Yes, good games.
Good sports day today.
Yeah, see, I'll get on the Peloton about 2-ish, probably, and I'll have the TV on in the background on mute. It'll be good. If I get a little bored in 90 minutes, I'll just look at the TV for a minute.
Had a 3-hole playoff on the PGA Tour, the first tournament of the season yesterday.
How about
at the
that?
Safeway Open.
Wow.
I know. It's pumped up.
I bet.
Good.
Safeway Open.
Yeah. It's Silverado Golf Club in the wine region of California.
That was my next guess. That's where I would have assumed.
Was it?
Yep.
Took a guess there. So, anyway.
If you're going to play golf, that'd be a good place to go play.
Well, it's just the stupidity of the season. They literally had the Ryder Cup finish on Sunday, and then the new season of the PGA Tour begins the next Thursday, and it's like, okay, fine, whatever.
There's never
there's 48 events.
There's no off season.
December, kind of. They have a money grab at Tiger's little Hero World Challenge thing where there's like 18 people. And otherwise, no. Around Christmas, I think like a lot of people on Thanksgiving weekend will go play the Australian Open. So go to Australia for a week for a money grab.
And vacation.
The PGA Tour is in Malaysia this weekend. So like all 3 guys in the playoff last night had to get on a plane and go to wherever and then Kuala Lumpur to Malaysia to play this week. That's where we always see like the 40-foot pythons all over the greens and stuff in Malaysia.
Yeah, no thanks.
You're skipping that tournament.
Yes, sir.
Well, it is kind of funny because they get a decent crowd, and it's like you're millionaires. You don't have to play. You can go play somewhere the next week. And I'm going to get on a plane, fly all night, travel's going to suck, to go to essentially the jungle and play golf with pythons for a week.
Yeah, why?
Just skip it. What difference does
Just go
it make?
home.
Fly back to Florida where you all live.
Yeah,
And
go pull a nice bottle of
jump
Pinot
on the
Noir.
private jet.
Yeah.
Get back to Orlando.
Just sample, yeah. Go hire your strength coach to get you loosened up for the next deal.
Just skip Malaysia.
Yeah, no reason to go to Malaysia.
A lot of them are going to Malaysia. Yeah, we'll have pictures of just like crocodiles and alligators and pythons.
Not for me.
Just middle of the golf course.
Not for me.
You got to walk around the pythons to get to the
No. Back in the plane.
back in the plane.
Let's go. And I'd be worried about snakes on the plane.
You killed a snake last week.
I did.
Yeah. How'd you dispose of it? What'd you do?
I dumped it down the hill.
Did you just throw it down the hill?
Yes.
How big was it?
Oh, it was a good 20-footer.
Yeah, it's a cobra.
Yep.
But how big was it really?
Not big. Big enough.
But you saw it.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't like reach in your skimmer and pull it out with your hand or something. So,
Oh,
I mean,
no.
Yeah.
I attacked it with
Attacked it. Yeah, what'd you have? It was like hedge clippers?
hedge clippers.
How close did you have to get to it?
Pretty close.
I mean, semi-close, right?
pretty close.
But it's in the water.
It was in the water, and it was...
Did it ever even, like, kind of engage with you?
Oh, yes.
Oh, did it really?
Yes.
He was pissed?
Not happy being chopped in half.
He was minding his own business, staying in the pool.
Yeah, I wasn't going to brag about it because somewhere that snake had parents and or spouse or friends.
You didn't need a revenge.
No, I'm hoping that there's no pay. There's no grudge.
It was a one-time thing.
It was just Random act of snake violence.
Yes.
Leave it there.
He was not targeted.
No. He came to my place. I didn't go to his.
Had he minded his own business in his dwelling,
I would have left him alone.
Yeah.
Fearfully.
All right, RebelGrove.com, lot there. Matt Luke, Wesley McGriff, Phil Longo talking at 11:30 today. We'll have quick hits and videos and all sorts of jazz for that up on the site. Again, stats and things up now. 10 weekend thoughts. Got grades for the first half of the season and much more, as well as game content following Ole Miss over ULM 70-21. Talk to you tomorrow.